Hi, I'm Suzette Justin, Certified Dental Assistant from Vancouver Community College, and I'd like to speak to you today about BAS, or sulcular toothbrushing. You will firstly need a toothbrush, something that's relatively small and flat across the top. Doesn't matter what it is on top, bumpy or what the profile is, something that's relatively small and flat is what is important. And you will need to brush in a sequence. So you start on the outside at the bottom and brush all the way around, and then brush the top all the way around on the facial side. Move to the inside, brush on the lingual surface on the maxillary, and then on the lower all the way around on the mandibular on the inside, and then in a few weeks' time or a month, maybe change it up, and then again in a few weeks' time or a month, maybe change it up again. That would be wonderful. So to start, the BAS method or sulcular method of toothbrushing is the only method that gets into the sulcus, which is the part of the gingiva right where it meets the teeth, which is not attached. That's your sulcus. All other methods do not get in there, so that's why this is the most effective. But it has its challenges. It's challenging with dexterity and to maintain the technique. To start, you need to figure out what 45 degrees is. So most people, when they will brush at 90 degrees like that. But that does not get into the sulcus. When you look down here into the toothbrush, and I do 90 degrees, you see if I brush back and forth, the toothbrush only brushes what sticks out the most. When I find 45 degrees, which is pointing down, can you see now the bristles separate and they move into the in-between areas of the teeth, right into the sulcus. That is what makes this method so ideal, is that 45 degrees. Okay, so starting on the back teeth, what we do is we place the toothbrush bristles flat against the teeth and the gingiva, so the top of the toothbrush head, the plastic part here, is level with the biting surface or the occlusal surface of the teeth. Then you roll it up about halfway and push it down into the gingiva or into the sulcus so you can feel the brush in the sulcus there, and then you vibrate it back and forth to the count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At that point, you lift off and you reposition and you start again. Lie it flat across the teeth, roll it up halfway, push down a little bit into the gingiva, into that sulcus, and then vibrate or do little tiny circles again to the count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we go along, rolling it up, 45 degrees, push down a little bit, and vibrate or do tiny circles. Notice none of my bristles are going onto the biting or the occlusal surface. If they roll up on there, then you know that the bristles are not getting right down into the sulcus. Can you see the bristles riding up high? That's because they're on the gum, on the biting surface. So if that happens, you have to lift off and reposition once more. We do that going all the way along, up to the count of 10, back and forth, until we do all of our teeth, all the way along. And then we go along and do the lingual, the tongue side. When we do the tongue side here, we place it in, do it slowly, and let the tongue reposition. We need to place the brush in between the tongue and the teeth, and then roll it up, push down a tiny bit so we know the bristles are in the sulcus. We can feel it. You can't go too far. The gums are attached at the bottom, and then brush back and forth, or little vibrations, little circles to the count of 10. Notice the bristles are not riding on the occlusal or the biting surface. Once you've reached the count of 10, lift off, reposition, and vibrate again. We don't just keep rolling along like that without repositioning, because what happens is we lose our 45 degrees and end up at 90 degrees. So we lift off and reposition each time. Now when we get to the anterior of the lingual, some people have very narrow anteriors, and because it's curved and the brush is flat, it's difficult to get into that sulcus in the anterior. So we change position of the brush for the tongue side of the anterior, and we change it to the long way, and we brush like that. Now on the posterior facial, everything we've brushed so far, we in fact only use 2 rows of bristles. Those 2 rows there. And for the anterior on the tongue side, we only use these 2 rows here on the heel of the brush. Not the toe, but the heel. Just those 2 rows. If we use the toe like this, then the bristles just bend. They don't get into the sulcus at all. But if we use the heel, then the bristles go right into that sulcus. So we brush each tooth by itself to the count of 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and move it forward a tooth. Brush to the count of 10. Do each one like that. For the upper, same thing. Like that. To the count of 10, each one. There. That's the Bass method of toothbrushing. It should take about 2 to 3 minutes to brush your teeth. Most people take 20 to 30 seconds. Don't forget, lift off each time and reposition your toothbrush. 45 degrees, not 90 degrees. You should not see any bristles on the biting surface of your teeth when you're doing the posterior. And for the anterior, your toothbrush goes the long way, and we just use the last 2 rows on the heel of our toothbrush. Your toothbrush should last 2 to 3 months, and when the bristles start to fall over like that, that means it's done and you need to buy a new one. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoy using the Bass or the Sulcular method of toothbrushing. Happy brushing.